raise your hand if you guys know what an assault weapon is. Good. Raise your hand if you know the exact definition of an assault weapon. That's what I thought. According to Senator Dianne Feinstein, the term semi-automatic assault weapon means any of the following. Regardless of country, manufacturer, or caliber of ammunition accepted, a semi-automatic rifle that has the capacity to accept a detachable magazine of any one of the following: a pistol grip, a forward grip, a folding, telescoping, or detachable stock, a grenade launcher, a rocket launcher, a barrel shroud, or a 30 barrel. Now, personally, reading this and studying this very much, I still barely understand what an assault weapon is. And according to a recent Gallup poll, 41% of Americans do not support an assault weapons ban, when the majority of Americans don't really understand what an assault weapon is. And my major claim, or proposition, is that banning assault weapons in America will lower gun violence. And my two subclaims, or secondary claims, are assault weapons contribute to gun violence, and assault weapon bans have been effective in other countries. So my first secondary claim is that assault weapons contribute to gun violence. And there's a plethora of evidence on this. The first being the United States is a substantial source for gun trafficking to Mexico, many of which are assault weapons. J. Dewey Webb of the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, or ATF for short, who I believe is an expert in the subject, says the United States is the easiest and cheapest place for drug traffickers to get their firearms. And as long as we are the easiest and cheapest place for cartels to get their firearms, they'll continue to be gun trafficking. And according to the GAO, or the United States Government Accountability Office, over the past 5 years, 87% of guns taken in Mexico originate in the United States. The majority of them being AK-type or AR-15 type semi-automatic rifles, so assault weapons. And some of them have been altered to make them fully automatic, which is illegal in the US. In 2008, the number of individuals killed in violent incidents in Mexico exceeded 6,200 people. And 1,500 people were killed in the first 3 months of 2009 alone. Okay, that's a war zone down there, that's a lot of people. And the majority of those weapons come from America. So it's incredibly true that assault weapons here, being legal here, make it so easy for them to get weapons from here and take them down there to inflict gun violence. And a lot of the arguments my opponent has is that, you know, gun violence here isn't so bad for assault weapons, but them being legal here makes assault weapons violence greater throughout the rest of the world. Okay, so my second point is that California currently has an assault weapons ban and has one of the lowest gun deaths of any state behind only Iowa, New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, and Rhode Island. Doesn't seem like the case, but it actually is. According to the Washington Post, California has between 5 to 10 number of deaths by firearm per 100,000 population. And also according to the Post, though the sample sizes are small, we find substantial negative correlations between firearm deaths and states that ban assault weapons, which equate to negative 0.45 to the 100,000 population per firearm death. So it's here that there's a clear correlation between assault weapons bans and deaths by firearms. And my last point in this secondary claim is that the 1994 federal assault weapons ban, which expired in 2004 in the Bush administration, illustrated the potential progress in such a ban. The United States of Justice reported the impact of the 1994 assault weapons ban from 1994 to 1996, so right after the ban was implemented. They said that assault weapons traces, so basically like records that the police use when they confiscate assault weapons, in the 1993-95 period declined 20% in the first calendar year after the ban took effect, dropping from 4,000 to about 3,000 in 1995. Some of this decrease may reflect an overall decrease in gun crimes, and gun murders declined 10% over the same period. Now, it's really hard to know whether or not all these deaths were inflicted by assault weapons, but of those, it's clear that from that ban, a lot of gun deaths were declined, okay? And my second secondary claim is that assault weapon bans have been effective in other countries. Japan has incredibly tight assault weapons laws. You never hear of any massacres that happen in Japan. That's because in 2011, the most recent gun records, according to a Yahoo article, there were only 7 murders in Japan. 7. And their population is 130 million people. 7 murders from assault, and none of them were from assault weapons. Okay, more people were killed with scissors than 9 of them. All right, so that's how incredible, and the reason why is because to them it's not a right, it's more of a privilege, but the idea of the weapons ban, and it's because it's hard for them to get the weapons, is why the gun deaths are so low. Gangs don't operate with guns because they know the repercussions for using one are very, very grave. So they opt not to. And also, I know my opponents say that there's other countries with tight gun laws, such as Brazil, where they're still on the top of the global world list of homicides by gun. According to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, 34,000 people were murdered by firearms in Brazil. And the reason why is they don't mention this day that there's a lot of corruption in the policing, there's a lot of corruption as far as society as a whole. The gangs in Brazil pretty much run the society down there, and because of that, they're more heavily armed than the police are. And they have been working on that, and actually gun deaths have been lowering, but, I'm sorry, 30 seconds, okay. But yeah, from that, gun deaths are going down, and even though they have tight gun laws, it's a different kind of environment down there than it is up here. So, like I said, my two subclaims are assault weapons contribute to gun violence, and assault weapon bans haven't been effective in other countries. I hope I provide enough evidence for you guys to believe that, and thank you.
All right, I like the question about the definition as an attention device. That's okay. You've got a clear statement of your claim and a good layout of what the secondary points are going to be. Since it's a common discussion that's going on right now, I think there's plenty of reason to understand why there's controversy on this and why you're arguing about it, so that's fine. The internal signposting is also pretty strong. I do think that you've got an interesting argument here suggesting that the real benefit of an assault weapons ban in the United States would not be in the United States, but would be in Mexico. So I think that that's an interesting argument, and it may deal with some of the statistics that are presented by the refutation speaker. On the other hand, I think you also run into a problem later on when you're trying to use the preemptive argument about Brazil and suggesting that they have a different culture down there and that's dominated by corruption and gangs. And I think a lot of people would look south of the border and say, well, why would we expect it to be any different in Mexico if we had an assault weapons ban than it is in Brazil, who has an assault weapons ban? So I can see that that might be a potential weakness there. I did think that the information about Japan was good, although the information about Japan, I'm not sure that it's complete. Is it just assault weapons, or is it other kinds of weapons also? So yeah, you got to be a little bit careful about attributing causality in a situation like that. But I like the examples that you're using there, and you usually have a pretty good explanation on those points, and you do a very nice job speaking to the audience and making the argument clearly. All right, thank you.